Time now for a look at some of the day's business news, starting with struggles in the Japanese economy. Cole Stengler joining us here in the studio to tell us more. Cole.
That's right. Well, the world's third largest economy shrank an annual rate of 6.3% last quarter. Now, that's worse than expected. It's the worst contraction since the middle of 2014. Also comes at an especially inopportune time. Uncertainty continues over the coronavirus. There are fears that Japan could be on the brink of a recession. That's 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. Either way, the drop at the end of last year caused by a few factors. Should get that graph up here soon to get those problems with the Japanese economy. A rise in the sales tax playing a role from 8 to 10%. Typhoon in October killing more than 100, causing widespread flooding, also playing a role, as well as U.S.-China trade tensions there. Let's move on now to the day's trading action here. We have the Asian markets up. Mixed bag on the Asian indices kick off the week. The Nikkei down 0.7%, as you can see here. That's taking a hit after that disappointing GDP data. Losses cushioned somewhat, though, by faith in the government response. Shares, meanwhile, in Shanghai up over 2% there. It's after stimulus measures were announced over the weekend to combat the coronavirus. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong up around about 0.5%, while the Kospi sold down just under the flat line. Next up to Belgium, where one company has a bold new vacation policy. It's offering employees as many days off as they want, though critics say unlimited paid leave is not quite as good as it sounds. Allison Sargent reports.
Today, they're at the office, but starting in March, if employees at this Belgian translation firm want an extra paid vacation day, all they'll have to do is ask. A new policy of unlimited paid leave, the company's CEO hopes will improve performance and prevent burnout.
People never get exhausted or burn out because they can feel internally that they need some time on their own. And at that time, they can request holidays. The bigger goal that we have is to show that the workplace is not an enemy.
This CEO isn't the first to offer unlimited paid vacation. The policy is popular among startups and tech companies in the U.S., a country where employers aren't legally required to offer any paid leave at all. But unlimited time off doesn't mean endless vacation. Critics point out that workers with indefinite vacation days often end up taking less time off, either out of guilt or cultural pressure. And as these employees are already anticipating, more time off won't mean any less work.
The pressure is on the objectives I have, which are quite high, quite demanding.
We'll have to see how it works in practice, to see when we'll be able to take time off, because we're quite busy.
While the benefits for employees remain to be seen, the company has had one positive effect since announcing the policy: a boom in the number of job applicants.
Next up, it's the end of an era for General Motors in Australia. The auto giant announced Monday it's scrapping production of its iconic Holden brand, the first mass-produced vehicle in Australia. It's part of a wind-down in the country and in New Zealand, and one expected to result in some 600 layoffs. Here's how GM justified the move earlier.
This was not a decision we took lightly. It was an agonizing decision. It's basically based on GM's global investment priorities. With a brand and a business, with a brand as iconic as Holden, clearly this decision could only be taken after extensive deliberation and after exhausting numerous options for continuing operations.
Meanwhile, another automaker is grappling with some bad news. A German court has ordered Tesla to temporarily halt production of its first electric car factory in Europe. The company had already begun clearing forest on the job site, a move challenged by environmental group. It cites potential risk to drinking water, among other issues. Under the new ruling, Tesla will have to wait for a final court decision before it can keep cutting down trees. The company has aimed to complete the highly anticipated plant by the middle of next year. And finally, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is in Brussels today. He'll be meeting with top EU officials, including Commissioner Thierry Breton and Margaret Vestager, Executive Vice President of the Commission. Big reason why the EU is crafting a new digital policy, including special rules to govern artificial intelligence. First draft of that AI policy is expected Wednesday, with debate continued throughout the year. Delicate subject, not in the least because of privacy concerns. Will Facebook, of course, come under a lot of fire for those privacy concerns, not doing enough to protect user data? I think it's fair to say that'll be a topic discussed later today.
Yeah, a lot of fallout from that, and it's not going to end anytime soon, I think. Thank you very much, Cole. Cole Stengler with a look at the business news.